So we just had an ice storm here in Texas and the grocery store was wiped out in the weirdest ways. But instead of just throwing out my meal plan and starting over, I'm just gonna adapt. Today I'm doing one breakfast, one lunch, so I don't have to think about it all week. All right, it's Sunday afternoon. That means it is time for some meal prep to make the week easier. But Mother Nature kind of threw us a curveball this week. We had a pretty big ice storm. That means the grocery store was out of a lot of things this week. But here's the thing is the grocery store was actually out of some really weird things this week. I was expecting them to be out of bread, milk, eggs, toilet paper, you know, the usual things. I was not expecting them to be out of cauliflower, butternut squash, and Brussels sprouts. But they were. So here we are, we're going to improvise an imperfection. In the past, I'll be honest with you, I would have been tempted to give up and quit and just throw the whole plan out the window. But I've evolved in my journey, and so now we are improvising an imperfection. So I'm gonna I got a little creative, I'm gonna use some of what I already had and some of what I was able to find. So today we are making a spiced protein overnight oats. We're using oats, milk. This is some of the Texas A&M Aggie milk. It was the last milk I was able to find before the ice storm hit, and then some of my homemade yogurt. And then we're also going to be making a roasted cauliflower and farro chopped salad. So I was not able to find any fresh cauliflower, but I had some frozen cauliflower in my freezer, which I'll be using. And then I can find fresh butternut squash. So I found this frozen. We will be adapting as we go. So if you are looking for a way to make food less stressful and easier, that's what this channel is all about. So I invite you to consider subscribing. All right, let's get into it. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna preheat the oven for the roasted vegetables. Now, because I am actually roasting them from frozen, not fresh, the recipe calls for roasting them at 400, but I'm actually going to bump that heat up to 425. All of the recipes that we're making today are coming from the Healthy Mama Meals app. It's a phenomenal resource. Chris Dubrovnik, she is a classically trained chef. She put together this resource to help moms feed their family healthy, yet flavorful and delicious foods. So I'll put a link in the description below if you want to check that out and get access to these recipes. So while the oven is preheating, I'm gonna get the farro going. So if you've ever had farro, it is actually really tasty. It's kind of a nutty, crunchy, not crunchy, but like, it's got a lot of texture to it, but the grain. So I'm gonna get 3/4 of a cup of farro into this saucepan. And then I'm gonna put in about 1.5 cups of water. And then turn that on. I'm gonna get it going at get a pretty good boil, and then we're gonna reduce it to a simmer. Let me get some salt in there too, because salt makes everything taste better. All right, now I'm going to start prepping the vegetables. So I'm prepping the veggies for roasting. I've got them on separate pans. It's just a good idea anyway, but especially since I'm cooking them from frozen and not from fresh. You want to make sure they have space and so that the moisture can evaporate. Otherwise, they will be steamed and not roasted. So I just put some avocado oil on, and now I'm going to season them. So I'm gonna do the butternut squash first. We got some salt, and so this is an enormous quantity of coriander. I don't actually use this much coriander, but you ever buy the bulk spices at the grocery store? And this was actually the smallest quantity I could get. So this is what 0.1 pounds of coriander looks like, in case you were wondering. All right, got some cumin. And then just a little bit of cinnamon. Okay, and I'm gonna season the cauliflower, and then I'm gonna mix it all up. So for the cauliflower, I'm gonna do some garlic powder. I put garlic powder on just about everything. It's just so versatile and so good. And then onion powder. And some paprika. Oh dear, we're almost out of paprika. I did not check this one. Okay, let's see, just kind of do that. And then a little bit of salt. Where'd my salt go? Here it is, okay. Just do a light sprinkle of salt. Now I'm gonna mix all of this up. And I'm gonna make sure to spread these guys out. I wanna give them some space. Now I'm going to put them in the oven. All right, I'll put them in the oven. I'm gonna check on them at 20 minutes and then probably roast them for another 20. All right. Okay, so for the overnight oatmeal, I'm actually going to be making some stewed pears to go with it. So I ordered some pears for my curbside order on Friday, but have you ever ordered pears and they're like, you get them from the grocery store and they're like hard enough that you could use them as a weapon. So that was the case when I got my pears on Friday. So here's a little pro tip. You can actually put pears in a brown paper grocery bag and just close it up, and that can cause them to ripen faster. The same is true with, you can do the same with bananas, avocados, anything you need to ripen a little bit faster. Something about the brown paper bag makes them ripen faster. So I've got my 2 pears in here. They're still a little bit firmer than I would like them to be, but they are usable. So I'm gonna go ahead and wash these and start cutting them up. I realized that I forgot to show you how long the farro has to cook for, but I actually set the timer for 10 minutes. It's about to go off. And now what's going to happen is I'm going to shut off the heat and then let it stand for another 5 minutes before I drain it. So I'm stewing these pears. I've got the pears and then I'm pouring a little bit of maple syrup mixed with some water. And I'm just gonna let those simmer for maybe about 10 minutes or so. So this is what our farro looks like now. I'm gonna go drain it. Actually, first, I'm gonna check it. It's a little bit crunchier than I want it, so I'm gonna let it sit for another 5 minutes or so. All right, so the farro, I let sit for another 5-ish minutes. I'm gonna check the texture again. This is better. It's chewy, but it's not hard. So I'm gonna go ahead and drain this. Now I'm gonna check on our pears. Let's see. Ooh, they are going nicely. I'm gonna give them a good stir and I'm gonna check these. Okay. They're the texture I want. There is more liquid than I would like to see, so I'm gonna turn down the heat a little bit. I'm gonna leave the cover off for about another, let's say 5 minutes. And now I'm going to check our veggies. Let's see how they're doing. Ooh. All right. Now stir them up. They look like they're doing pretty well. All right, I'm gonna let them roast a little bit longer. And let these guys roast for probably another 20 minutes or so. And now I'm going to mix up the overnight oats. So I'm mixing up a big batch of overnight oats. Overnight oats is something I really like to do. It's super easy, and then you grab and go in the morning, and it's just one less decision to make, and you've got a hearty breakfast. It's already handled. You can add a lot of things to increase the protein content. So I'm adding some Greek yogurt. This is actually homemade Greek yogurt. I did a video last week where I showed you how to make homemade Greek yogurt at home. So I will link that in the description in case you want to try that at home. But anyway, this is one of those recipes that's super easy, super versatile, and just makes for a really easy, filling, comforting breakfast. So these pears are going to be a topping for the overnight oats, but because the overnight oats still need to set and these are still hot, I'm gonna store them separately until I actually use them. I'm gonna check on our veggies now. Let's see. Oh, this cauliflower has gotten nice and crispy. So I'll pull that out. Let's check on our butternut squash. Also has gotten nice and crispy, so most of the moisture has evaporated. So I'm gonna let these cool down for a little bit. I don't wanna mix them with the fire while they're steaming hot. So while they're cooling, I'm gonna make the dressing. Okay, now I need to zest and juice an orange. So I am making the dressing now. It calls for the zest and juice of one orange. I don't love zesting things, so I'm just gonna get some orange zest in there and then juice this orange. So here's a pro tip. I know we all want to dirty as few dishes as possible, so I'm actually going to mix my dressing in the measuring cup. So I've got the avocado oil in there, and then I'm now going to juice this orange and then mix all of my other ingredients in there. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I don't take it lightly that you chose to spend your time with me today. So I hope that this helps lighten your load this week. The yogurt that I use to make the overnight oats is homemade. So if you want to try making yogurt at home, I will link that video in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you over there.